Given that we're now in the month of January, we have just a couple of more days until The Bad Batch Season 2 drops on Disney+. This way it's going to be able to prove itself on whether or not John and Dave did an excellent job with the second season, and exactly what's happening with the continuation of the Bad Batch series. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that a lot of fans have been very much excited about is everything that has to do with the Mandoverse. A lot of things that are being provided by John, George, and Dave, and what things are coming from Legends and what things are coming from the original material from John and Dave themselves. Now, they're finding avenues to make both Legends and Disney canon coexist. And they're finding a balance to all of this. I mean, we already have Ezra, Ahsoka, Sabine Wren, Thrawn, and how they're going to mix in together with Legends characters coming back into the canon for Ahsoka and Mando 4, etc. However, what recently, of course, happened, where George Lucas actually got John and Dave to do something incredible, has a lot to do with something that fans have been asking for years upon years. So let's dive right into this. We already know, by the way, that George is really trying his absolute best to bring John and Dave on the best path possible to really succeed with the Star Wars franchise and where that's really going to go. Now, here's the thing that a lot of fans need to be aware of, is that Kathleen Kennedy has no control over the Mandoverse anymore. She only has control over Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Now, with that being said, with creator George Lucas very involved with both Favreau and Filoni's work within the Mandoverse and beyond, he recently was able to get both John and Dave to greenlight something very special for the fans that Lucas always wanted to do since he hired Dave Filoni so many years ago. Now, apart from that, Lucas is said to be fully aware that fans love the Clone Wars, and that one thing that George made happen for The Mandalorian Season 4 is an upcoming full flashback scene of Hayden Christensen returning as Anakin Skywalker during the events of the Clone Wars, and of course fighting alongside Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by actor Ewan McGregor, against a series of droids. Now, Lucas is said to have come up with a plan to bring back Count Dooku in The Mandalorian Season 4's flashback that is set to use archived footage of Sir Christopher Lee to be standing behind the army of droids that fight both Anakin and Kenobi. Now, let me just stop here quick for a second. Now, never in a million years would I have actually thought that we would be standing here today with Clone Wars live-action material looming just 2 years out from this point in time. You know, we have a lot of great things coming on the horizon, right? We have Mando 3 and Ahsoka. Those are going to be the two biggest years, or the two biggest shows, I should say, of this year. And where that's really going to head all depends on the execution, right? All depends on how it's going to be pretty much fleshed out for the fans. And that all, too, depends on the flow of the shows, how well it's written, how well it's directed, and I have full faith in John and Dave that they are going to do the most amazing things possible. Now, we already know that Pedro Pascal said that if you thought Mando Season 2 had a lot of surprises, get ready for Mando Season 3. Now, of course, that translates to a lot of cameos, a lot of revelations, a lot of twists and turns, as John and Dave have already teased, and how that's going to be a big deal also in Mando 3. But this, by far, I think is the best example of how George Lucas knows how to please the fans with Mandalorian Season 4, by showcasing a flashback that's going to be narrated, by the way, by Ahsoka Tano, talking about Anakin Skywalker, talking about his past, his dark side tendencies, all that fun stuff and all that great stuff, right? And how that's going to really transfer over to future Star Wars shows as well. Now, on top of this too, what's even all the more exciting about this entire scenario, involving both, Anakin and Kenobi facing the droids in the middle of a field against Dooku, Alright, on top of this, a storyboard has already been created and developed for Mando 4, where both Anakin and Kenobi are seen in Clone Wars armor, with their sabers ignited in the middle of a large field that looks near similar to the Naboo location, with Dooku standing in the background next to two other cloaked figures. Now, who are those two cloaked figures? We're not quite sure. I would love to hear what you all have to say about that. We're not quite sure who they are just yet. Are they dark side warriors? Are they just, maybe perhaps, a new type of droid that are cloaked? Who knows? It could be anything. Now, Lucas is said to be fully aware that the fans always wanted some more Clone Wars and live action, and he is getting ready to deliver this to everybody. Both Hayden and Ewan have already been contacted by, of course, Lucas and, of course, others like Favreau and Filoni about this scene, and they are very excited. Now, this scene is set to use unused themes from John Williams that are planned to be used in the moment that will be narrated by Ahsoka. The scene is set to feature Anakin's rage and a hint of his dark side tendencies. Now, you guys may recall that in a lot of the Clone Wars episodes, even some in, of course, the latest season, they do kind of showcase little layers of rage for Anakin Skywalker, where Kenobi has to step in and tell Anakin to stop, or what are you doing, questioning his actions, right? This here is basically going to be a moment that was provided by George for Ahsoka to be talking to somebody. We're not quite sure who she's talking to, but the scene, the flashback scene, will be narrated by Ahsoka, talking about Anakin's rage and when it first started to begin in the actual moment. Now, the thing that I like so much about this is it's kind of like a evolution of what we got in the Kenobi series, right? In the Kenobi series, we got a Clone Wars flashback, but we did not get a Clone Wars fight, per se, right? We got a training session, yes. Originally, Stuart Beattie, the original writer of the Kenobi trilogy, wanted to do just something like this. And that's what George Lucas is picking up on. He's picking up on what almost happened in the Kenobi movie trilogy that got canceled by Kathleen Kennedy, and finding ways to kind of just insert that into the upcoming Star Wars shows, the Star Wars, installments, whatever have you, and how that's really going to work. Now, Hayden and Ewan are already getting ready for these roles, not just in Star Wars Ahsoka and Ahsoka Season 2, that's being pitched, by the way, but also now for Mando Season 4. Now, I think that fans are going to be a little upset, realizing that Mandalorian is no longer going to just be about Din Djarin, and it's going to be more so about all of the fan-favorite characters. And again, this is Jon Favreau, who worked on the MCU. You can see how this is kind of mimicking the Avengers, where in the beginning, it kind of teased a couple of characters, then it brought them all together. That's basically what's happening in Mando Season 2 that happened already, Book of Boba Fett as well, and Mando 3 and 4 is going to kind of bring those characters together. So overall, I would really like to hear what you guys have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.